I'm Meaghan. I'm a clinical herbalist and community herbalist. I got into herbalism more when I became a mother. My kids are my inspiration for diving into plant medicine, but when I think a little bit more about it, it's more familial. Like my grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, she was Shawnee. Was Shawnee, medicine woman, and my dad would talk a lot about her and how when he was a kid, he had pneumonia. And growing up in West Virginia, the doctors weren't treating him very well as a person of color, and so she had her roots and her herbs, and she really helped him, and he got well. And so I think that story inspired me to treat my kids with natural medicine and plant medicine. And then in 2019, I started the Baltimore chapter of Herbalists Without Borders, and I wanted to study and learn more for myself. And so I studied Afro-Indigenous herbalism under Olutokumbo Obasi in Puerto Rico and Yauco. And so I've been studying and learning and practicing ever since, and that's how I got started. Yeah, Herbalists Without Borders, it's a nonprofit organization. The Baltimore chapter, we did a lot of COVID response during the pandemic. We got quite a few donations from just different corporate companies, I guess you could say, and just distributing those donations to the community. There were a lot of people in my community and everywhere that were just not sleeping well and had a lot of anxiousness, so we got a lot of passion flower donations, a lot of cordyceps and reishi, and just getting that out into the community. And yeah, that's how that started. And now myself and Alyssa, she's another herbalist here in Baltimore, we have done the Main Street Market, and so we had a free clinic once a month during the summer. And we had quite a few people come out, and yeah, we've done free clinics for the summer months.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Not necessarily herbalism helped me personally, but my kids, yeah. Like my kids had that gnarly cough that kids can get, and really just a teaspoon of honey. I know that's not necessarily herbalism, but it kind of is. It's bee medicine. So, yeah. And then I would always steam a lot of rosemary. My oldest daughter had asthma, so I would boil a big pot of rosemary and just let her breathe in the fumes, inhale that, and that helped her a lot. And then also rubbing a little bit in her ear, like a little oil in her ear to help with the ear infections. So little ways like that is kind of what piqued my interest in herbalism and plant medicine. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Olutokumbo has definitely been one of my teachers. Also, just being in the garden. My dad was a gardener, my stepdad's a gardener, and I've learned a lot about plants and plant medicine by growing plants, and so that's kind of what brings me to this job as a garden educator here at Baseyard Basecamp. Bird's eye, like Thai bird's eye chilies. We also have some Scotch bonnet here. And then this one is the fish pepper, which is an African American heirloom pepper. And yeah, this is the fish pepper. So these are the 3 peppers we've been growing this season. And they're all really spicy. This is cotton in my hand. Yeah, so bird's eye chilies, they call these a Thai bird's eye, but they also show up really south of the equator, so they're also prevalent in Africa. Scotch bonnet is prevalent a lot in Caribbean cooking, and then the fish pepper is an African American heirloom pepper. So all 3 of them have a lot of cultural significance for the African diaspora, and I just wanted to include a pepper that the community, that's representative of the communities that I'm a part of. And yeah, that was my reasoning for that. And then we also did a pickle making class, and we had these and we were able to pickle them. So that was really cool.
That's fun. Cool.
We did the Three Sisters method over there, but it's done now. The corn's gone, the squash is gone, the beans are gone, and the deer have been eating the tomatoes. So it was inspiring to see how plants grow together in a really symbiotic way. The corn and the squash, and how the beans, they all support each other. And I guess kind of going into this, with the cotton and the peanuts planted in the bed with the tobacco, the peanuts are a nitrogen fixer. And so the idea of growing plants together as opposed to a monocrop and just growing one crop, but planting plants that help each other, like the Three Sisters method. The squash serves as a ground cover. The beans grow up the corn, and so they are supportive to each other. And I just think that's a really beautiful way to look at gardening and just life in general, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so here we have tobacco. There were 3 plants here. I've been growing tobacco for, I guess, the last 3 years now. And this tobacco was harvested. Obviously, it's been cut down a lot, but it's been harvested by our local tribal organization here in Baltimore and a ceremony. And that I'm African American, I'm also Shawnee as well, so Native American. And so it just felt really profound to be able to grow this plant just in general, but also to grow it for other indigenous people to harvest and to prepare and to give as offerings. It just felt like really meaningful work. So tobacco is often used as an offering to spirit. Many of us believe that when tobacco is smoked, that the smoke carries our prayers up to heaven and to the ancestors in the spirit realm, as well as the spirit of tobacco is an ancestor as well. That's my Native American side. My African American side, tobacco was a cash crop here in Maryland, so my African American ancestors were enslaved with this plant. And so growing tobacco as both an African American and a Native American woman, it's twofold, like on one hand, it has spiritual significance. On the other, it's a bit of a sad history of the slavery. And when we think about plants as a spirit and a being, like we were enslaved with this plant alongside the plant. And so to be able to grow it as a free person, as a free woman, it just feels really profound and meaningful to be able to do this, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really big and bushy. I'll have to send you some pictures. Now it's a little baby. But that's also cotton as well. We have this cotton plant here. See if I can find a good one. This one's a little tight, but this is a bowl, so it's a cotton bowl, B-O-L-L. And inside there are these seeds. And sort of what I was doing with that other one. It's pulling out the seeds. Once you get the seeds all pulled out, you're left with this fluffy cotton ball. And it's kind of wild to think that this just grows in a plant,
It is.
We grew it with peanuts. George Washington Carver wrote extensively for the sharecroppers in the South after slavery, as a way to both feed themselves and to sustain the soil, because obviously American slavery depleted the soil because it was just one crop. And so George Washington Carver suggested that peanuts be grown with cotton. And I mean, we're a testament, you know, like it's 2 peanut plants here, and this cotton is doing amazing, and the tobacco was huge. And I think that the addition of having peanuts in this bed is what really fixed the nitrogen and just helped these plants to flourish. And so that's another thing that I really enjoyed about doing this work, is that kind of that dance between the present, like now, and then also the past, and just that dance that we do of remembrance. And I mean, George Washington Carver was definitely ahead of his time, you know, like, how did he know that? It was the 1800s. I'm still like, how did he know?
Right.
But
Where did he get that wisdom from?
Right.
It's a good question.
Yeah, he was born into slavery, and he studied. He just studied the plants. He sat with the plants. And I think that that is really telling, you know, like when we sit with the plants, the answers kind of come. So I think it more rounds out my perspective, you know, like like ashwagandha is a pretty popular plant right now, and this is ashwagandha right here. And so growing it and developing a relationship with the plant, more so than just the desire to use the plant, I haven't really figured it out, but it is something. I think it deepens my connection. Like passion flower, for example, like all of this is passion flower. And during the pandemic, a lot of what I got donated was a lot of passion flower. And so then to be able to grow passion flower and to see how it grows, and to see how it kind of has a mind of its own, and to see how the bees really love it, it just deepens that connection. So it hasn't necessarily, like, I still recommend passion flower, like I did back then, but the relationship that I have with it is, it's deepened, it's matured a bit more, you know, as opposed to the idea of using a plant. My perspective has shifted more into working with the plant and to being in communion with the plant, as opposed to like expecting it to do something for me, you know.
Yeah.
And then also seeing how like the bees love it, you know, like it's not just us. Like it's so cute, like the little bees will like take a little nap on the passion flower. We don't have any in bloom right now, they're all falling off, but yeah. That's cool. The ashwagandha is pretty cool because the little seeds are really cute.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, these little red seeds. The
You know.
doctrine of signature.
Is that it? Doctrine
Yeah.
of signature.
Yep.
So cool.
It looks like what it does, like a plant that kind of looks like a brain is good for your brain, and like the plants that are, yeah, they kind of look like lungs or good for your lungs, that concept. Like if you were to lay down and look at a tree, or like a pine tree, it kind of looks like the lungs, and it's good for your lungs. Yeah, and it's very, like it latches on, and that's kind of how anxiety works. Like it's like our thoughts kind of like just latch on, and it's very tenacious. Anxiety can be very tenacious. And passion flower, you see, it's like latched onto the cotton. It's like latched onto all the plants near it. So that's kind of what it does. It like latches onto those racing thoughts and soothes them, kind of relaxes them. The California poppy mixed with the passion flower and some chamomile was like one of my favorite teas during the summer. It was really relaxing and uplifting, which isn't something that you think of when you think about sedative plants like California poppy or passion flower. But it actually was like a very, because we use the flowers, and so you have the pretty purple flower with the passion flower and the bright orange of the California poppy and the pretty little white and yellow flowers of the chamomile. And so just looking at it was like really uplifting. My tobacco, like tobacco has been. I definitely feel a deep connection with tobacco, but also cotton. Like I said, my ancestors. I don't know, my ancestors were not enslaved with this plant; they were enslaved with tobacco. But I have a deep connection with growing this cotton, and there was a bit of when Tia, which is the founder of Baseyard Basecamp, when she asked, "Did I want to grow the cotton?" I was like, "Yeah," but there was like a little something there, and a lot of us felt that. And the sign, the little sticker on the sign said "Fun to Grow," and as an African American, we were all like, "Fun for who?" But it has really been a fun plant to grow, and like I said, to be able to grow them as a free person, as a free African American person, as a sovereign African American person, it just feels really profound. And this idea that this crop, that people were in slavery for this plant. I mean, as well as tobacco, that people were in slavery to grow this, to make money for this economy, for the United States. It's such a beautiful plant, you know? It's such a cool thing to touch and the sensory element of it, but it has a history as well, especially in this country. And so to hold both of those, like the beauty of it, the connection that I have with it, and also the acceptance of the past and the history, it's just been really interesting to sit with both truths. Yeah, and like a lot of the work with Backyard Basecamp is reconnecting BIPOC individuals to the land, but a big part of that is also reclaiming our relationships with these plants. And so to be able to do that has been, it's just been really meaningful. I've been really grateful for the opportunity to do that and to grow. Because the plant's going to grow regardless. Like, I just kind of look out for it, but to come day after day and to see how it grows and to see the different changes over time. Okay. And don't be afraid to fail and save your seeds so that you can start over. Because like we mess up a lot. I think the garden has taught me to let go. Like the deer, they're gonna eat stuff. Like there's gonna be pests. It'll happen. But the plant wants to survive. The plant wants to come back. And so even if you have a plant that dies back, just stick with it. That would be the only thing. Just stick with it. People are like, I don't have a green thumb. Every plant I have dies. Like I still to this day kill houseplants. Like I can't keep a houseplant alive for the life of me, but I can have a garden that thrives outside. So, and you can grow a lot. Like I think that was one of the big things that we wanted to show here. Like there's so much variety. Like in this garden bed, there's lemongrass, there's ashwagandha, there's pineapple sage, there's thyme, there's holy basil, root back there, there's passion flower. And that's all just in one little garden bed. So even if you have a little bit of space, you can grow a lot. And with the Three Sisters method, like the corn and squash and the beans. So a lot can be grown in a little bit of space. Is ashwagandha right here. We will harvest the roots at the end of this season. This is lemongrass here. This is a big bushy pineapple sage. It smells really good. Over here we have some more California poppy. We have some lemon thyme back here. It smells really good. This is passion flower. It is big and viney. Back here we have more ashwagandha, and the holy basil has gone to seed just about. There's some holy basil back there, and mixed in with the holy basil is rue. So, And there's some yarrow back there as well, hiding, and some mint. So lots of herbs can be grown in a small space. This is like what, 6 feet by 4 feet?
Yeah.
And we have, we'll get our processing license soon, and we'll be able to do more of a process for sale. But
Not the priority right now. Huh?
Yeah, no, it was just to see what thrives.
Mhm. That's cool.
Yeah. I just think these little ashwagandha seeds are so cute.